So, today we're gonna talk about some memes. For real. But I'm gonna see you after the intro, as always. I've just been eating something, so if there's something in between my teeth, I'm sorry about that, But yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Actors podcast. And I'm really looking forward to this episode, also because there's actually I think I'm pretty lucky, I am indeed pretty lucky because I found some memes on the Reddit memes subreddit, and they're actually somehow correlated to something that I can also talk about in terms of self-improvement, self-development, and all these things that the channel and also the podcast is consisting of. Quite. But before we even go through the podcast, there's two things and two links or three links in the description. Please check them out. The first one is for the podcast. The second one is for the notes, which is basically a summary of the previous episodes. And then you can also add background music to either the podcast and or to the YouTube video if you're willing to. But I do not want to waste any time, and I want to go straight into the memes. So, and as you can see on the left side of the screen, you're having a nice cover picture, whatever it is actually called, on Reddit. I don't actually know. I really don't. And there are some highlighted memes. And these are the memes that I've just not came up with, but I've just had a look at them. And I guess they are, first of all, appropriate, which is always something to look out for. And I think there's also something that's somehow correlated to self-development, self-improvement, and all those things. If I remember, because I was just eating something and I've just done that before I went eating. And therefore, I'm not quite sure. But it actually bothers me that I'm having something on my teeth. And even if I'm just dirty, just in general, because of food, I'm sorry about that. But I think that's not such an important thing. So the first one is 10 Stabby Steps, which is kind of the title of it. Grayson just asked if 10 is a big number. So what do I tell him? Because $10 isn't a lot of dollars or a lot of money, even though I think it is quite something, to be honest. But 10 murderers is a lot of murderers. Is there actually something wrong with you? Why? ? Context is important, And there's a reason why I've pointed this out, because context indeed is important. Not only if we're talking about marketing, because you're gonna just speak differently in different contexts, On LinkedIn, you're gonna just talk differently than you're just listening and or talking on Instagram, because the platform is completely different. The people are different, and the way they're speaking, the language, the context is a different one. Also, being able to give context is something that's sometimes incredibly important, because in terms of analogies, you often need the context, Because if you're just telling somebody an analogy, it might be like, well, I'm not quite sure about that, Context is, in fact, a pretty humongous tool, if you're willing. It is a tool. Let's call it a tool. I think it indeed is a pretty good tool to make things better, make things different, and let things sound or feel different, I pretty like it, I pretty like that. The next one is possibly fake news. It's actually indeed a funny one. Florida boy outruns entire police department after stealing flag. And there you're having a picture, and there's a little boy, and he's having the American flag or the United States flag in his hands, and he's running away from a bunch of policemen. And I actually have to say, the Photoshop part is quite nice, to be honest. But it's possibly fake news, I guess. But I mean, we all are just able to do something. I do not really want to say that it is something that's never gonna happen. I really don't want to say that, because there is gonna be some people in the future that are just way faster than Usain Bolt is. I assume, without just some cyborgish elements to them. But I believe that we are gonna evolve, and we're gonna be faster, as it actually has been the case for just comparing history and not just really kind of early days of humanity actually compared to now, because Usain Bolt is the fastest person there has ever been, I guess, as far as I know. And it's okay, we are just gonna be faster and we are gonna be stronger, probably, chances are high, unless we're kind of just developing in the just different direction. Just backwards. I don't hope that this is going to be the case, but we are all meant to do something. So what are you meant to do? I don't know what my just calling or whatever you want to call it actually is at this point in time, but I think I'm also meant to be doing something. Whether it is the podcast actually, or whether it is just talking about something different or doing something different, but we are all meant to do something. And I do have to say, it is also something that I've been talking about before, but I do have to say that it often is the case that the things that we are meant to be doing is often these things that we first of all like, and therefore we are also good at them. And it is also something that we have been doing just in the really, really early stages of our life. For example, I've been doing a lot of sports, and I'm still a pretty sporty guy, I would just actually say. It's just I kind of feel about myself, see myself, whatever. Whatever. So it is kind of something that I think I've seen, that when people like to do something in the really early stages of their life, then it is also something that they are going to be good at just because they have been doing it for such a long time. And it is probably also going to be something that they like. Probably. But it just always comes up, It always comes up. Real nice people. Nobody's born cool except, of course, people who don't care if something is made with memetic. And there's I don't really get it. I've only just seen in the bottom left corner that there is made with memetic. So it's kind of just meme maker site thing, I assume. I'm not quite sure about that. But for me, it is actually the case that nobody's born cool except, of course, people that are nice, people that are generous, people that are doing good things in the world, and people that are not fucking assholes. This is what I would say is a cool person. A person that is nice, a person that is doing some things for somebody else, that is just trying to be a good person, that is trying to do something good for the world. And I do not really want to say that, everyone is just really bad, that's not doing something for the world, But I think we all can do something for other people, whether it is donating, which is probably going to be one of the easiest things, I guess. Unless you're just not having a lot of money, then it's probably going to be something that's not that easy. But we all can also build something, We all can. Does it mean that we all should? Maybe and maybe also not. It is something that's actually quite difficult to answer, since it's like we all could in theory, but we are not all meant to just build something humongous, I guess. Even though we all just in theory are having the capabilities to do so, I assume. But yeah, the point is, people that are nice, people that are just good people, I find them cool. They are fucking cool. Kind, generous, nice, and all the other adjectives that I can't think of. Literally. Like, really, literally. Just let it happen. I didn't also just get that one as far as I know. Do you ever zone out but you are aware that you are zoned out but you're too lazy to zone back in? And there's a picture of Jaden Smith. I guess it is like a movie screenshot or something, I assume, I really do assume. By the way, I like his music. I think it's pretty cool that he's doing something new and something that he seems to be liking, I like that. I love that. Like to see that. But I have to say, I think that we often see things and we often are recognizing things that is happening to us or that are happening to us, whether it is just something bad. Most often it's something bad, and then we're kind of just neglecting to see that, or we just do not want to see that. And it is actually a pity because we're too lazy to see it, actually, some kinda, because I think you can't miss some things, you can miss some things, but there's just a certain category of things, I guess, you can't just miss, there's no fucking possibility that you're able to miss that and that you're just able to not see it, I guess, but I think it is just more or less about being too quote-unquote lazy, or not just maybe feared, to just be anxious to just do something about it and do something against it, and just to solve that problem, to solve the problem that might even be pretty huge and also pretty important in the end, actually. And it is, at least in my point of view, something to just really look out for. If you're just also doing something like that you're also just neglecting to see things, which is probably kind of the truth for some people out there. The next one is just make it simple. And the first one, there's the Twitter logo, and they say normal company logos. And the Twitter logo is fairly simple, and it is actually fairly nice, I like it. And then there's movie studio logos, and then there is a bunch of crazy stuff, 3D animated with background and whatnot. And I actually do have to say, yeah, it is a fucking truth. A lot of fucking movie studios are having just some really quote-unquote shitty logos. Because if you're thinking about logos, most often you can see logos that's just so simple. Logos, for example, that are only a circle. The Apple logo is also fairly simple, and it also makes sense, because just let's talk about the swoosh. Everyone knows how the swoosh looks like. Does everyone knows how the fucking Warner Brothers logo looks like? Some sort of. Can you draw it? I don't know if you can. Some, of course, can. It depends on how you are just thinking about the company and how much you're related to the company in terms of, okay, you're watching a lot of movies or you're watching a lot of series or you're just kind of interested in that stuff. But most often it's just a good thing to have a fairly simple logo, and I think even though I do have to say that those movie studio logos, they're not that bad. In terms of simplicity, they might be bad, but in terms of them not being aesthetic, no, they are aesthetic. They just, look pretty cool. Do you know the one with the lion? I just don't know which one it is or which company it actually is. Really not sure about that, but I think it's pretty cool. It's also pretty just memorable, I would say, but it just also depends on just various factors there. But I would say having a simple logo, whether it is actually like a picture itself or whether it is like just font, just some words, it's just fine, Sometimes I even wonder when I'm designing something or I'm just doing a logo, if I should just write something down in Helvetica, and then it is quite fine, because it would be, if you're just typing something or basically if you're typing something and it looks good, why should I add something, Should I just add something so that it looks better, so that it looks just somehow like a quote-unquote logo, as just like people are thinking about logos? I don't know, I really don't. What he gonna do? And there's a picture of SpongeBob, and he says, how do I get a job? How do I buy a house? And how do I pay taxes? And then there's school, which is kind of shown through Squidward. And he says, assume that John has 50 apples. And I actually have to say, yes, it is somehow the truth that it still depends on the school that you're attending, because I'm actually pretty happy about the school that I'm attending, It's not only just some theoretical bullshit, but I'm also just learning some really practical shit, like designing, like it is a graphic design school. It actually is cool, it's not about university and whatnot. It is cool. And I have to say, attending a school that's only theoretically based or based on theory, I don't like that, and I wouldn't say that is also something good, because at least in Austria, it is the case that after you're attending such a theoretical school, let's just call it like that, because I don't know the vocabulary, to be honest. After you just attend these, you basically have to study something, or you work at McDonald's. You can also do that, or just learn a new job. You can also do that, but I don't know if this is smart. If you're attending a school like I'm attending, then you're just able to work afterwards. You're gonna just take one more year. So I'm having 5 years of school, and the other people, they have 4 years. And it's there's just a trade-off. Either you just quote unquote lose a year, and then you're just gonna have a job and you can work something, and you just have something in your hands and you could do something with it, which is working quite fine for those people that actually do want to do the job. And it is also a huge problem, because if you don't want to be a graphic designer, then what you gonna do? What you're gonna do afterwards? What you're gonna do after just going through school and actually not really willing to do whatever you've learned to be doing for 5 fucking years? Of course, it is definitely gonna be something that's gonna be good for your future. Definitely. There's definitely something that you can do with it. But on the other hand, it is if you just don't like it, then it is fucked up, But just only getting some theoretical stuff and those things, and then having to study and having to go to McDonald's or whatnot, I don't know. Not quite sure about that. But most often, it is actually quite fucked up that in school you're only gonna that you're only going through some theoretical stuff in terms of okay, let's learn some bullshitty maths things that you're never gonna need in your life. Okay, I understand that it is it's not about being smart there. It's about just learning just everything that the government says that you should be learning, I guess. And it also makes sense, don't get me wrong. I think it does make sense to learn maths, even though you're not just really interested in it, because you're gonna need it. And I think it is also just a way to, how I'm seeing it is, I'm not really good at maths. I really am not. I do somehow like it, but I'm not good at it, But the thing there is that if you're trying to solve a mathematical problem, then it is actually good practice for solving some other problems. It's the exact same thing as in designing. When I'm designing something and having to solve a design problem, then it is also just good practice to just being able to think creatively and think in different ways, different perspectives and all these things to figure out what could be the possible solution for the problem. It is going to help you in some other different areas of life. At least I think it will. But let's see, do I have some other ones? I do actually have 4 left. The next one is quite funny, and even though it's a little like maybe inappropriate, but yeah. Me, ways to punish my son, and then he googles no Xbox, and Bing says burn the child. I actually found that pretty funny the first time I've read it. but the thing is, like I've also been a child, of course, I still am somehow in my brain. The thing is, does it make anything better if you just taking the Xbox of your son and it is like you're punishing him with taking the Xbox? Is it like what you should be doing? And is it like, okay, Xbox is bad and school is good and all those things? Like, I'm not quite sure about these things. Since esports is just so popular at this point in time, doesn't it make sense to kind of just grow a esports master or esports professional? Doesn't that make sense? Yeah. I mean, like, you could, as some people are actually doing it with just traditional sports, like, okay, I'm gonna have a pretty good skier, and therefore I'm gonna train my son for the first 10 years of his life. If he wants or not, I'm gonna fucking train him. But I'm not quite sure about that. The problem there is that these things have been working in the past. These things that they have been maybe they have been actually the reality in some areas of life or some parts of the world. They actually have been that, People and our parents have just trained their children from a really early stage on or early age on to then let them be able to do something. Whether it is just being a skier, whether it is being a basketball player, whether it is something else. It doesn't matter at this point in time or at this point. And the question now is, does it make sense nowadays? Not quite sure about that. I really am not, because traditional sports is going to decline in attention, I would say. And if there is no attention on traditional sports, then there's not going to be any money. And kind of money is one of the only reasons why people are doing this to their kids, at least as I'm thinking about it. Of course, if the kid likes it, it's amazing. It's totally amazing. Doing what you're able to, or doing what you're willing to do for the rest of your life and making actually some good money is amazing. It is amazing. You're happy. Also for just in the present, then you're also going to be happy in the future because you know that you're going to be safe because you're earning a lot of money, unless you're kind of using it for dumb bullshit, of course. But it's like, I don't know. Maybe we have to shift things. I don't know if these things are also going to work in 10 years, but we actually have to have a look at 2030 and see what's going on then. It's probably going to be somehow different. The day of reckoning is upon us. It is a new decade. The winter season is ending. It is a leap year, and there was a disease in 1920, 1820, and 1920, so we're doomed. And there actually has been, I didn't know that by the way, 1920, wasn't it the First World War? Not quite sure. I'm actually not quite sure. The thing is, like, of course, you can focus on some shit maybe happening in 2020, but I would say you shouldn't. It's not gonna make anything better, It's never ever gonna make anything better. At least I don't know what it should be making better. Well, never mind. Really? This is definitely over the top. Who in the world needs that many trees? And then there's a guy and he's having actually a bunch of keys in his hands. The slightly other problem is that he's fucking having 3 guns on the left, on the right, and on his back. I mean, like, yeah, you can. Are you gonna be safer? I'm not quite sure. I really am not. But like, strange. But this is the joke. Like, I get it. I get it. Just wanted to let you know that I get it. But yeah, let's see. The ambitious crossover to be sure, but welcome one, I hope. When you've got Superman's body and plus Legolas' hair. And this is about the new The Witcher series that's gonna come up in like soon, I guess. And it is something that's pretty amazing, I would say. Seeing that, and I've actually only realized it just like, I think just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, something like that. And it's nice, I'm happy for all the people that are actually really looking forward to that, and it's probably gonna be a cool one. I don't know. Happened to me. When you sleep in 2019 but wake up in a whole decade later. And then there's a guy that played Captain America in the Avengers, and he's just pretty astonished or pretty staggered, or however you're kind of saying that. I don't actually know. But the thing is, like, yeah, I can assume that it is gonna be something that's quite strange if you wake up in 2020. And 2020, by the way, is a pretty cool number. Also because of the files, my save files of all the episodes, they're all now called 2020. And it looks pretty fine. It's pretty huge and I can see it pretty nicely. It is quite well, I actually have to say. But yeah, I think this is actually going to be the end of the episode. I do hope that you've liked it, and I do hope that you've just had some joy. Hopefully. I really do hope. But I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself, and you're going to be remembered, basically means your legacy, which basically means being a nice person and also being remembered as a nice person. Motherfucker. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. And with that being said, I'm going to see you the next time. So please consider subscribing and rating the podcast and also the YouTube channel. I would appreciate that. And I'm going to see you the next time. I'll see you.